Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today is April 27th, 2026. And we're talking a little bit about some historical events because history repeats itself, or at the very least, to quote George Lucas, it rhymes. And boy, we got enough rhyming for a poem. So, the European Union today, I saw a little tweet, something they're trying to sneak their way through. Sneaky, European sneaky. And let me show you guys this right here. All right, let me move this on over. Move that on over. Oh, and we'll go ahead and grab that. Perfect. All right, you ready? Hold on to your butts. Wah! Here we go. From International Cyber Digest. And by the way, I included a link in the video to the source document fact-checking this. The European Commission is about to steal your search history in one of the largest forced data grabs in history of the open internet. And almost nobody's talking about it. Scope is staggering. Every query you type, every voice and photo search, every autocomplete you accept, your language, your device, your country pinned to a 3-kilometer grid, every result you saw, every link you hovered over, not even clicked, hovered over, every click and scroll, and the full chronological order of all of your search sessions on Google. And that means what? The European Union is going to know your health symptoms, your pregnancy, if you're gay or straight, you like furries, you like dogs, who knows? They know it all. It's all there. Political beliefs, your religious beliefs, your financial distress, if you're in legal trouble or not, addictions, if you're having an affair, not to mention more. And this is under the proposed measures for the DMA Article 611. Google would be ordered to ship daily search behavior of hundreds of millions of Europeans to multiple third parties through a daily API feed. Any approved online search engine AI chatbots included would get 5 years of access, including the government's agents, so they can make a social credit profile on people. How about that? And you say, oh, come on, Charles, they can't be doing that. Nobody would be that dystopian. Well, if you look at the source document in the notes, they are. And where this comes from is something from Chinese history. The Europeans are embracing it. So Mao was pure evil person, but very smart. And he created something called the 100 Flowers campaign. And this was between 1956, 1957. And you know what he said? Let 100 flowers spring from the ground. And those 100 flowers will represent the intellectuals and the critics and tell us what's not working. Tell us where you're disgruntled. Tell us where you're upset. Tell us what the problems are. And, you know, people are a little suspicious. But then over time, they started saying, yeah, okay, we'll tell you some stuff. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of things, you know, that they started sharing it. And then what did Mao do? Uno reversi card, bitch, called Cultural Revolution. Yeah. Purging time. Killed 2 million people. All those critics were lined up and shot. Why ask? Because you're going to use the answer. Who's with us, who's against us, who has politics we don't agree with, and who needs to be put in the gulag. It's the Ashbin of history. And the problem is the 100 Flowers is not being done by a government anymore. It's being done by private industry. It's why it's surveillance capitalism. That's the other side of it. So surveillance capitalism is where a third-party company that is not owned or operated by the government collects information about you from your interactions with it or its affiliates' interactions with you, and then acts as an agent of the government to help the government make a decision whether you're a good actor or a bad actor and what to do with you. There's soft power and hard power. Soft power is where they deplatform you. Your YouTube account just disappears. You can no longer access your bank account. Now, recent legislation in the United States, they're talking about DUI prevention. So they're creating software inside your car so that you can't drive. if they think you're impaired? Well, maybe freedom of transportation. We can just deplatform that. So the soft power is restricting your movements, your ability to communicate, and your economic agency. And hard power is Mao. That's the death camps. Because there's some people like the Musks that you can't really control them. So you got to get purgy McPurgers. And this is happening real time. And the problem historically, when you looked at the Stasi or the KGB or any of these other secret police, is that it was very expensive and time consuming to target you. So their methodology was make an example to create fear. It's why the Romans had crucifixion. They nail you to a cross. They don't do it in the basement. They do it up on the hill. Everybody in town can see it. And they walk by and they say, oh boy, what happened to Matthias? Well, yeah, now he pissed off them Romans. You better not piss them off. They'll nail you to a cross. And everyone's like, oh yeah, maybe the Romans are not people to be trifled with. Public humiliation, public punishment. With AI, you can go much further. Using surveillance capitalism and this 100 flowers concept of getting people to dox themselves through a variety of means, you can then retroactively look through, as Mao did, and AI can target every single person in the world. Everybody gets to be made an example. Stage one is soft power of deplatforming, and they've tested it with COVID. They've tested it with economic deplatforming, with the choke point, Operation Choke Point. And now they're testing it with freedom of movement. And they did that with the vaccine passports. They did that with a bunch of things. And it's all being put together into a global framework to do these types of things. And you say, oh, but Charles, come on, who would do something like that? What would be the thing to do? I'm glad you asked. So we have this thing. Let me see if I can spell it. Palantir. Let's see here. Well, let's see. What is this thing? Let's click on the news. The Palantir ontology. The Palantir ontology. And it's integrating itself into the U.S. government as we speak. And I'm just going to show you how big the octopus grows. Let's see here. Transitivity. Let's see here. You guys ready? Yeah, there we go. So currently, all this stuff is being wired together to a total of at least 27 agencies. Not just the scary ones, the ones you don't fear right now. The DOD, the U.S. Army, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, U.S. Special Operations Command, Department of Homeland Security, ICE, HSI, HHS, the healthcare people, the CDC, the FDA, USDA, that's the cows, the Federal Aviation Administration, Border Patrol, the CIA, IRS, the DOJ, the FBI, the NSA, the Social Security Administration, NASA, FEMA, 27. How about that? So everybody's getting wired into a private surveillance capitalism stack that knows everything about you, everything you do. The European Union is mandating that Google has to turn it all over to third-party APIs. Who's going to plug into it? Firms like Palantir. And then what are they going to do with that? Turn on social credit for everybody. Flip a switch, turn on social credit. And that'll be connected to your communication, your transportation, and your money. You say and do the wrong things, according to the power structure, your bank account's turned off, a la CBDC. Your voice is turned off. No more Gmail for you. No more YouTube for you. No more X for you. No more social media for you. No more TikTok. It's out. And your car doesn't turn on. And your passport gets revoked. And we got to make it a little spicier. Let's add to it. What if people talk to a pariah, you, Mr. Bad Person, where everything's been turned off, What if we also punish people for associating with you? So if Bobby over here, his score is 200 and Jimmy's score is 500, if Jimmy interacts with Bobby, sorry, Jimmy, now you're 450. You're getting close to stuff turning off. Better not talk to Bobby. So what does that make you? It makes you the person, the enforcer of the tyranny of the regime. It makes you the enforcer of the regime. You, individual, are going to comply. Because if you don't, you get your bank account shut off. You can no longer drive your car. You can no longer express your voice. You say, I have constitutional protections. Where do they apply with private companies? Remember that argument? It's a private company and just do whatever they want. Just do whatever they want. Yeah, just shut you off. It doesn't. You have no constitutional protections because it's not the government doing it. It's a third party. So all your criticism, your search histories, your political affiliations, your sexual partners, all that's going to be turned over in both America and in the European Union, and it's going to be entered into these giant, scary ontologies, and they're going to use it to basically exert soft power. And then the people that they can't exert it over, then they can systematically harm them. And if you complain about harming them, you know what happens? You get added to the list. And unlike the Soviet Union in the time of the Romans, it's not just 1 out of 100 get punished. AI makes it everybody. So when somebody asks you, why midnight? That's why. Freedom of association, commerce, and expression. We cannot allow trusted third parties to know everything about you, control AI, control the flow of money, control the flow of information. You need to be your own bank. You need to own your own data. Your identity needs to be self-sovereign. And guess what? You need systems that can't be evil, that cannot comply with these types of things. It's a fight worth having. Never in human history has so much power been given to so few, and so much capability belonged to so few. The reason constitutions exist is to restrain this behavior. And these governments found a loophole through surveillance capitalism. They found partners in crime to come in and help them do these types of things. The only thing we got are these protocols to push back. That's why cryptocurrencies are the most consequential technology in the history of humanity, because this is the technology that prevents humanity from being put into the chains by the few at the peril of the many. Okay? So that's why midnight. It's a binding tissue that connects many different technologies together, lets you interact with the big people and the little people, and preserve your self-sovereignty and your privacy and all these other things. And you know what? You can't debate this video. You really can't, because all this stuff is happening in plain sight. You can see the documents. You can see the partnerships. You can see the billions of dollars of value being exchanged. And you can see the Snowden disclosures, all these other things. They've been working towards total information awareness since DARPA had the IAO, the Information Awareness Office. Google it. Look at the logo. It's a fucking pyramid with a goddamn eye looking at the planet. These people never go away. They just flare up like surveillance herpes. And we beat them down, and we seem to have a victory. And then 10 years later, they come up using a different set of boogeymanism. I didn't even mention the identity backdoors that are currently being proposed for many operating systems. They want KYC to use a computer. So not only is your freedom of movement, your freedom of speech, and your economic agency, your access to a computer could potentially be shut off if your identity is shut off. That good for you? Doubt me, Google it. Look at the legislation. They're haggling over whether open source software should use it or not. Tell me, is iOS open source and Windows open source, and how many people are there? And Android, does it really count? Google will comply, as will Samsung. They're forced to. You getting it yet? If we don't have freedom of association, commerce, and expression, we have nothing. And life won't be worth living. I don't believe some wave of robots led by an evil ASI is going to kill us all in Terminator style. But I sure as hell do believe that if we admit the status quo and we stay distracted, this is the kind of stuff that's going to do us in and make life not worth living. That's why I'm still in the fight. That's why we got midnight, and that's what we fight against philosophically. You and only you should own your own identity. You and only you should be your own bank, and you and only you should own your own data. And no one should have this much power ever under any circumstance. So, thank you all for listening. And until next time, have a good day.